Look, Bill O'Reilly faces in his animus toward me is laid bare every time he attacks MSNBC or NBC News or General Electric. He huffs and puffs about those proxies because he cannot say my name. Literally. Tried it once in 1998 and mispronounced it. Olbermann. Since he never makes mistakes, he can't go on now and pronounce it differently because that would be a tacit admission that he makes mistakes, and he never makes mistakes. So the proxy thing is taken to its extreme now, and he and Bernard Goldberg award MSNBC the #1 spot among their lefty culprits of present-day America. They meant me. Yes. Story, Know Your Top 5 Billow and Goldie Left-Wing Smear Merchants Week, the finale. We have been graced, you will recall, with a visit from Janine Garofalo, the 5th most powerful liberal in the media, and Marcus Molitzis of the #3 Daily Kos, and Eric Burns of Media Matters, honorable mention. And to celebrate, I have tried my best this week in particular to adhere to all of the positions promulgated by the left-wing Smear Merchant Command Center. But now, I confess, I must finally be held to account. Joining me now to account for myself about my trespasses, my deputy bureau chief here at Slime Incorporated, Rachel Maddow. Hi, Rachel.
We're #1.
Yes.
We're #1. Hi, Keith.
Very
All
nice.
right, I have to grill you here. I have to ask you what your feelings are about being at the top of this totally inexplicable list. Do you feel sort of pride? Are you mystified?
It's a combination of pride and irrelevancy, and you get this sense too. I sort of sit here and I'm thinking I'm in the middle of somebody else's delusion. Mm-hmm. Is there some way I can push a hole through his balloon there and free him from his own insanity? But I don't think there's going to be any way out of this. We're all along. It's Billow's delusion, and we're just here for the ride.
In order to prep for talking to you about this, I went through the transcript of this O'Reilly show, Mr. Goldberg explaining his list to O'Reilly.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I don't understand either of them very well, but I don't get it. He says MSNBC executives have made a business decision to allow defamation of conservatives, and he says that makes them hookers. They use the word hookers. Do you have any idea what the hooker thing is about?
He's referring to the Civil War general Joseph Hooker. I think that's what he's talking about. But I think the most interesting part about that, as you well know, this idea that there are these decision makers in MSNBC management who have allowed all this to happen, all this smearing to go on. First off, there are no decision makers in MSNBC management. You know that, I know that. Second of all, there's barely any MSNBC management. You know that, I know that. The viewers know that fully well. So the structure of this, it's wonderful to watch paranoia build on itself. To have this image that there must be some sort of gigantic, nefarious machine that, by the way, has no influence and gets no ratings, but it's a giant, nefarious machine, and there are people pulling strings. I can barely get a glass of water in here. I don't know about you. The idea of strings being pulled is just, I wish we had strings being pulled, don't you?
Well, it was like when we found out that we were on that lefty email
yes, the J list. Yes.
The J list that was secretly orchestrating what was going on in the world of American politics and media.
Yes.
I thought, well, I've never heard about that, but if there is such a thing, how do I get invited? It sounds great.
It's a conspiracy so secret that the people who are in it don't even know that they're in it. And that's what makes a good conspiracy, and don't you forget it, Rachel.
Well, Mr. Goldberg takes these great pains to say that he wants to be absolutely clear about the fact that he thinks that we have no influence. But it's hard to say that we are the worst liberal offender in all of media and also that we don't matter.
Well, the only way that could be true is if we have like 7 viewers who we have turned into, from Bill O'Reilly's relatives, we have turned them into, I don't know, Amy Goodman. I mean, if we had that much, clearly it can't be a question of numbers. It must be intensity. We must have turned, again, a half a dozen people, or maybe 7, into, these walking time bombs of red menace. I mean, that's the only way that otherwise the whole thing does in fact fall down to the ground. The idea that we are somehow ahead of the New York Times in influence in any regard is palpably laughable, and would be to anybody who wasn't as delusional as either Mr. O'Reilly or Mr. Goldberg, I think.
Still, it feels nice to the ego just for a second. Keith, let me just ask you, though, seriously, though, why do you think that you make them so crazy? You obviously drive them to distraction. I think you personally do. Do you know why you bug them so much?
Again, this is something that came up in the interview with Eric Burns from Media Matters. there's nothing worse to people who are, kind of not really there than having their own words quoted accurately back to them. And nothing, there's nothing no words I've ever put in Bill O'Reilly's mouth, except a couple of hyperbole cases where I would say, now I'm making this up. But, there's nothing like that. And I think